Can't do that.
This is one thing I'm telling you, yeah, for real. You know, women love to say, oh, I'm Miss Independent. There's nothing good about being independent, yeah? And being proud of it. You're basically saying, I'm Miss Stressed Out Bitch, yeah? Because we don't need men. Why do you mean you don't need men? If you need your furniture moving, who are you going to call? Who's going to come to move it? A bunch of men, not a bunch of women with little flowers in their hands, are they? You hear a noise and like, bam, bam, bam. What's that downstairs? Oh, you're going to wake up your man. Oh, go and see what that noise is. If the man turned around and said, no, you go and see what that noise is. Yeah? You look at him like, are you fucking mad? Are you for real? You're telling me, the woman, to go down and look. Okay, Miss Independent, go down and check the fucking noise, innit? Yeah? We don't need men. You fucking do need men. The sooner women realise they need men and value them and respect them, the happier they shall be and stress-free.
Ladies and gentlemen, since we started this new wave of content, I've been getting a lot of comments, a lot of emails and stuff, and I don't really get an opportunity to check everything like I used to. But God wanted me to see this message today. God wanted me to see this message today. So on one of my previous videos, there was a young lady, I presume she's African American because that's what the profile pic looked like. I don't know if it's actually that person, but you know, people catfish every now and again. But if that is her, this is what the comment read in its essence. This is not verbatim. It's amazing how it's a shame or something how black men have turned their back on black women. Black women have been uplifting and keeping them, and then they leave them sad and lonely and all this stuff. They're choosing to date abroad, and she really took offense to the fact that black men are now traveling. And I had to internalize some shit, right? I had to think about it for a second. And what I came up with is we did not just wake up one morning and say, fuck it, we're just not going to date women in the West. That's where I want to keep it at. Not necessarily focused on particular races or anything like that. But we did not just wake up one morning and say we are no longer dealing with women in the West. This was a long, drawn-out process, ladies and gentlemen. This process was long overdue, right? Because can't nobody tell me they didn't try with their own before they decided to date foreign. Very few people can say that they didn't try their own before they decided to date foreign. Again, if you grew up in an environment where you were surrounded by a different culture, different type of people and stuff like that, that's different. But ultimately, 90+% of us started out dating our own before we went foreign. So when I think about people who have these naysayer comments about us, I laugh. Because where was y'all when we were coming up? Where were y'all when we were looking at y'all? Where were y'all when we were actually in a position trying to actually date and keep it within the culture and all of that good jazz? Where were y'all at? Y'all weren't worried about us then. And then it comes to the point where we start to hear men ain't shit. Y'all don't do nothing. Y'all ain't good for nothing. And all I can say is no, boo-boo. The men you dealt with ain't shit. Like I was saying, ladies and gentlemen, it's the guys you've dealt with that ain't shit. And then it starts to get to the point where we start talking about, oh, I don't need a man. I don't need no man. I can do this on my own. And when we get to that part, for me, if I choose to date outside, how is it a problem for you if you don't need a man, right? Why is it an issue for you if you don't need a man? If that is your comment, if that is how you feel genuinely, why does it matter? Now, it's always going to be one of those favorite taboo subjects of mine to talk about women that don't need men and women not being able to survive without men and stuff like that. It's always going to be one of those taboo topics. But let's go ahead and deep dive. When I hear a woman tell me they don't need a man or they can live without men, I laugh. All right? Again, I laugh because it's funny. Because deep down inside, I know that's not true. I know it's not true, right? And out of the many years I've been doing this, I have never in my life, except one variable or one time, I've never in my life heard a man say they can't live without women, right? Guys don't have that talking point. Guys will never say we can't live without women. The only guys that say they can live without women are those that choose that particular sexual preference, right? They choose, you know what I mean, without knowing what I mean. Feel me? Those are the only guys that may say something like that. But other than that, you have no guy that would say, oh, I can't live without women, because we know we can't. But ladies, how is it that y'all keep saying that stuff and you know it's not true, right? You need a man's sperm to create children, to procreate. I'm not saying that you need a man to raise a kid. I think that is dumb as hell to even attempt to try to raise a child on your own. But if you feel like you're strong enough to do it, I'm not going to stand in your way. But you do need a man to help create 50% of the child you're trying to create. Don't be talking about artificial sperm and all that stuff. Whatever, women that can get themselves pregnant. I've heard that in a video before that kind of threw me off. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. If society broke down, ladies and gentlemen, and all that were left were women, that would be a very, very tough society. And I do not believe it will survive, right? Like the lady said in this particular video, if you hear a bump in the night or you hear something crashing downstairs, are you going to go downstairs to do it yourself, or are you going to call a man? Probably a man. Call 911. Who is more likely to show up? Probably a man. So I want you guys to stop with the narrative about why and how you can live without a man when you know deep down inside that's not true. You're going to need a man for something. Don't lie to yourself. Don't try to basically fool yourself into believing that you can actually get along without a guy's present, period. All right? Don't do that. Because basically, the same way y'all try to shit on us, oh, you don't like black women, you must not like your mama. If you don't like men, you must not like your daddy, right? And they'll be like, oh, well, I didn't grow up with my daddy, so fuck him too. You'll have some people who say that, right? But ultimately, there was some parental figure, I believe, in your life, or some male figure in your life that you relied on one time or another. So please don't tell me that you can live without a man. There's always going to be a need for a man in your life. Don't tell me that. I'm not saying that it's going to be relationship based, but don't sit there and lie to yourself and tell everybody, oh, I don't need a man. Because eventually the day is going to come where the only thing or the only person that can help you accomplish what it is that you need is going to be a man, right? Like I said, the reason I get so mad about it, or the reason why it hits me different than everybody else, is I've never heard a man say they don't need a woman. Men don't have those talking points. So how is it that women are allowed to get away with it, but let a man say, oh, I don't need a woman? Unless you're like MGTOW, red pill, that type of stuff. And even then, most of those guys, they kind of have a differing need for women, I assume. But yet and still, in one way or another, they do need or entertain the comfort and solace of a woman's presence. You just don't hear guys talking that same shit because we know it's not true. We're not gonna lie to ourselves, right? A real man ain't gonna lie to himself and say some shit like, "Oh, we don't need women," right? Like I said, unless you live an alternative lifestyle, that's different. But a real man, heterosexual guy, will never sit there and tell you he doesn't need a woman. And when I say need, I mean for nothing in his life. Right, for nothing, because that's what these young ladies seem to be trying to perpetuate the narrative for. And I think it's unfortunate, right? I think it is, because I know they got to bite the bullet, and I know it hurts them deep down inside when the day comes when they got to rely on a man to do something for them because they cannot do it themselves. So ladies, stop lying to yourself, please. We're not going to lie to ourselves as men and say we don't need women. But y'all can easily get away with saying that stuff when we know deep down inside it's not true. And again, if you are the one that perpetuates that narrative, you don't need a man. Please do not disturb the men who choose to date abroad. Because women outside the country, women outside the United States, trust me, they ain't out here spewing that same rhetoric and spewing that same nonsense. That's why we date them. Because if you don't need us over here, why don't we go where we're needed? and then we do so. Now all of a sudden it's a problem. How, Sway? How? How is it a problem when we choose to date abroad with women who, whether you want to believe it or not, whether they say need or not, they pretty much have a desire to want to be with men. They're not out here saying we don't need men. You know what I'm saying? We go over there, but y'all still mad? Why? 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 I'm giving you what you want. That's the way I look at it. I'm giving you everything that you want, love. You don't want a man? Cool. I will gladly take myself out of that dating pool to allow you to deal with all the women that you want to deal with. And let's keep it a buck, y'all. This is where I want to end it, and we're going to keep it pushing. Ladies, you would be surprised, and this is a shocker to everybody. I know this is going to be a shocker, right? You would be surprised that there are still some men that would actually date women in the West, right? There's still some men that would do it. But when it comes to the passport brothers, right? When it comes to the guys that choose foreign, chances are where you may have started out at the top of the list before we decided to go abroad, now your ass just kind of moved down to the bottom of the list if you make the cut at all. That's pretty much what has happened. You would be our last ditch effort, with all due respect. We've tried where you were at the top of our list and you kind of found your way at the bottom if you made the cut at all. And people don't like that. They don't like hearing that. But it is true for only certain men. The ones that choose to date foreign, I think that they would date anything and everything abroad before they choose to come back and date here. And that is the reality. We do not say comments like we don't need women because we know that's a lie. We know that. And when we say need, I'm not saying, when I say need, let me make sure I clarify this because I probably didn't. When I say we don't say things like we don't need women, because we know that most of us enjoy the comfort and solace of a woman. We enjoy women's company, right? For the majority of us, we truly do, right? Again, there are some guys who choose to live a lifestyle where they don't entertain women at all. That's on them. But for the majority of us, you'll never hear us say we don't need women. We just don't, because we know it's not true. For your average man, yes, I enjoy the warm embrace of a female, period. So I'm not going to run around here talking about, oh, we don't need women. What we will say is we just don't need women in the West. Big difference, right? Big difference. Y'all know what time it is, man. It's time for to get out to go and get to getting. Y'all take care. Y'all stay blessed, man. Docs on to the next one. Peace.